No better word sums up week 2 of the NFL season quite like chaos, and my 7-9 record in predictions last week goes to show for it. Well, this week in week 3 predictions, let's see if I can do a little bit better. It all kicks off with Thursday night football between the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. The Jets are 6.5 point favorites in this one, and the Jets offense doesn't have a clear sense of identity in the sense of an Aaron Rodgers led offense in the past, including his last year in Green Bay, did not feel this run heavy. The Jets are running the ball a lot, which makes sense because it does seem like Rodgers' Achilles is still nagging him quite a bit. Their defense is still playing really well. They did a good job against Tennessee last week. But they're going against a New England Patriots team, which is playing very good complementary football. They know what style of team they want to be, and the defense is playing really well. The offense isn't making a lot of mistakes. So yeah, I'm gonna ride with the New England Patriots on Thursday night. It's just the security of, hey, I know what I'm getting out of New England, while the Jets still look a little bit lost out there in offense. So yeah, give me the Patriots. Next up, the New York Giants are traveling to Cleveland as they play the Browns. The Browns are 6 point favorites in this one. The Giants come in at 0-2 after a tough loss to the Commanders, where they didn't give up a single touchdown while scoring three of their own and still losing, in part because Graham Gano got injured before the game and they didn't have a reliable kicker. So they went for two twice in that game. It was a weird game for the Giants. Now to play in the Browns team who got a really nice win against Jacksonville last week. Deshaun Watson played well. The defense rebounded from that game against Dallas. And Cleveland is looking like they're getting stuff on track and getting things going at a pretty solid point. The Giants, again, they're just a team that's kind of lost at this stage. The defense isn't doing all that much. The offense is not helping the defense whatsoever. It's going to be a weird game. Definitely a game that's going to have some funny moments from it because neither of these two teams are going to be wowing people with their play. But nonetheless, I have the Cleveland Browns walking away with this one and improving to 2-1 on the season. The Green Bay Packers travel to the Music City as they play the Tennessee Titans, a game of which the Titans are 3 point favorites in, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. The Packers are coming off of a nice win over the Colts, a game of which the defense picked off Anthony Richardson 3 times. Josh Jacobs and the entire ground game as a whole for the Packers was working really effectively. And Malik Willis did what he had to do. He didn't force the ball in bad situations. He even has a touchdown pass in that game. The Packers show that they can still win games, even with Jordan Love being out for the foreseeable future. The Titans, however, are coming off of another disappointing loss to a team that really they probably should have beat. And it all comes down to Will Levis. He is doing too much behind center, and it is costing Tennessee the game this early in the season already. And the Packers defense is kind of up there with the Bears and the Jets defenses of being a top half defense in the league. Packers have a good defense. It's going to be an interesting game to say the least, but yeah, I have the Green Bay Packers winning this one, and I'm still shocked that they aren't favored in this. The Chicago Bears are traveling to Indianapolis to play the Colts this week, a game of which the Colts are 1 point favorite, and Chicago 1-1 after a really weird loss to the Texans on Sunday Night Football, a game of which Chicago had 9 penalties. The offensive line could barely block for Caleb Williams. The run game couldn't get going. Meanwhile, the defense was looking pretty solid for the majority of that game. The Colts coming off of a loss to the Packers, of which Anthony Richardson threw 3 interceptions. And yeah, that was a really, really bad game for Anthony Richardson. But to be fair, it was in Green Bay, and the Packers have a really good defense. This game is being played in Indianapolis. I expect Anthony Richardson to bounce back. I also kind of expect him to be able to use his legs a lot more in this game, or at least use it a lot more effectively. Chicago had a tough time containing CJ Stroud in the sense that he was constantly able to make plays with his legs, extending the play, and finding an open receiver. I expect Anthony Richardson to be able to do the same thing. Again, the game is in Indianapolis. Give me the Colts to win this one and get their first win on the season. Next up is one of two potential game of the weeks for me this week as the Houston Texans travel to Minnesota and play the Vikings, a game of which Houston sits at 2.5 point favorites. Both teams enter at 2-0, both teams coming off of pretty solid wins the following week. Houston with that Sunday Night Football win against the Chicago Bears, of which they had 12 penalties in that game. And really, they cannot be having that style of undisciplined play against Minnesota if they want to win this one. The ground game couldn't get going against the Bears, but I could see it get it going against the Vikings a bit better. The Vikings did let up over 100 yards to Jordan Mason last week. And as long as the passing game and the defense can continue what to play how they've been playing so far this season, I think Houston will be fine. Minnesota, the defense had a solid game last week, getting 3 turnovers off on the 49ers. The offense is really highlighted by that 97-yard touchdown last week from Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson. Jefferson is still day to day at this moment with his quad injury, and who knows how long Sam Darnold can keep up his level of play. Given that, I do have the Houston Texans winning this game. I'm riding the hotter hand, as the Texans have been the hotter team for a longer stretch, even dating back to last season. But yeah, I have the Houston Texans. The Philadelphia Eagles travel to New Orleans as they play the Saints, a game of which the Saints are 3-point favorites. The Saints enter at 2-0 after back-to-back complete dominations over the Panthers and the Cowboys. The Cowboys game being a lot more impressive, and listen, the Saints are playing incredibly well at right now in this point in the season. Completely dominating both of the previous matchups. Derek Carr is looking rejuvenized now in New Orleans. Alvin Kamara had a great day. The defense has been bullying people up front, so has the offensive line. It's going to be really impressive to see how they can play against Philly now. The Eagles coming off of a tough loss to Atlanta on Monday Night Football. And I mean, that was just a classic Vic Fangio thing. As a Dolphins fan, I was way too used to that very soft shell coverage in the final 2 minutes. And really, that's the whole thing. Philly played 58 minutes of the game and failed to play the final 2. But during those first 58, it was a pretty solid day for both Philly's defense, for Jalen Hurts, even for Saquon Barkley. This is going to be a really good game. I still have New Orleans winning this, as again, they have been the more dominant team, probably the most dominant team this season. And yeah, they beat one NFC East team. Why not another? Give me the Saints. My other potential game of the week for this week, as the Los Angeles Chargers travel to the Steel City as they play the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are 1.5-point favorites. Both teams coming at 2-0. And both teams haven't had relatively similar game plans and offensive styles so far this season. Both teams have been really run heavy to the sense that, well, yeah, the Chargers have passed the ball a bit more, but both teams rather can just pound a rock down your throat, pass when they absolutely have to, and beat you through defense and special teams. Again, the Chargers have the better passing game of these two teams, and that's going to feel like show on Sunday this week. So for that, I have the Chargers to win, but that's not to say that the Steelers can't keep this close. They have one of the best defenses in the league, led by TJ Watt, and Justin Fields is just doing what he has to do. He's not forcing too many plays, not trying to make too many plays. He's playing solid football. I'm just going with the team whose pass game will be able to truly step up in a pinch when needed to, which is the Los Angeles Chargers. The Denver Broncos travel to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with the Buccaneers being 7-point favorites this week. And this is one of the games for sure. The Broncos coming in after a tough loss to the Steelers, of which the offense really couldn't get anything going. The pass game has been really bad this season so far, but so has a lot of teams, so it's not the end of the world as of yet. They had that one big trick play, but besides that, Bo Nix is kind of looking slow. He's coming off and beginning his career in a slow start. Not playing the greatest, but again, he's a rookie, not putting too much onto him just yet. The defense looked pretty good against the Steelers, but again, the Steelers offense isn't a lot to write home about. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers are coming off of a really great victory over the Detroit Lions, in which their defense played really well. Baker Mayfield stepped up when he needed to late in that game, and Chris Godwin had himself a really good day. This is going to be a very long day for Broncos fans, as I fully have the Buccaneers winning this one, and I would not be surprised if it's a complete and utter blowout on top of it. The Carolina Panthers are traveling to the Sin City as they play the Las Vegas Raiders this week, a game of which the Raiders are 5.5-point favorites. The Panthers are 0-2 and have officially benched Bryce Young now. Andy Dalton is getting the start, and I do not expect it to help out the team that much. For as much talent as they've tried to add to this team, once they arrive in Carolina, it seems to just completely disappear. They're going up against Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins on the defensive line. And Carolina's offensive line has not been able to block a lot so far this season. They played the Chargers last week, who also with a very good defensive line was making life a living hell for Bryce Young back there in the pocket. I don't expect much to change when it comes to the pass protection. Their defense hasn't looked the greatest, and the Raiders are coming in with a lot of momentum after beating the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, give me Minshew Mania in Las Vegas as 5.5 point favorites. I have the Raiders winning this game with ease. Well, this is one of the games of the week that I'm going to be watching. The Miami Dolphins, my Miami Dolphins, are traveling to the Seattle Seahawks this week, with Seattle being favored by 5 points. Listen, all Miami needs to do is make the game easy for Skylar Thompson. You have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, you hopefully have Raheem Mostert back, but if not, you have Devon Achane still. You're going to have Jalen Wright. You have a lot of speed and a lot of weapons on this offense. Get the ball to those high power weapons that can make people miss in space and have no one else even sniff the ball. Make the game easy for Skylar Thompson. Rely on your defense a bit in this one and the field position in battle. I have Miami winning this. But that's not to discredit what Seattle has done this season. Seattle is a good team. They have won 2 good games. Their defense and their offense have played really good complementary style of football that is fun to watch. I would not be surprised if Seattle wins this. I'm honestly kind of expecting it. But I have hope in my Miami Dolphins. Kevin Harlan is on the call for this game. We have good luck when he calls out games. Give me the Dolphins. The Baltimore Ravens are traveling to the Dallas Cowboys this week, with the Ravens being 1 point favorites. Ravens are coming in at 0-2 after a really tough loss to the Vegas Raiders, a game of which the Ravens had a 10-point lead at one point, but just couldn't fully play a full 60 minutes. The Cowboys are coming off of a complete embarrassment of a game against the New Orleans Saints, where really the Cowboys had no effort, no fight, no physicality into them. It was a bad game for Dallas, one I expect them to bounce back from. The Ravens are a good team this year. The defense has played decently. The offense has played well, but again, just a really tough and weird situation for both of these teams. You kind of expected more out of the seasons already to this point. I have Dallas winning this one. Going back to the fact that this is in Dallas, they are typically a good team when playing in Dallas. Again, last week against New Orleans does not prove that at all. But I trust Dallas enough at home to where I'm still going to pick them to win this one. An in-state NFC West rivalry game as the San Francisco 49ers are traveling to the Los Angeles Rams. The 49ers are 7-point favorites in this one, coming off of a tough loss to Minnesota and dealing with a pretty banged up roster with Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey being out for this game. It is nowhere near as banged up as the Rams, however. It feels like the Rams are missing damn near everyone from their offense. They have a whole CVS receipt long list of names on IR, it seems. Nakua on IR, Cup on IR, starting left tackle on IR. The list goes on and on. They got blown out by the Cardinals last week, and they're not going up against any easier of an opponent, as even with the injuries, the Niners are still a really, really talented team on paper. With Kittle so healthy, Ayuk so healthy, Jordan Mason has really exploded onto the scene with a back-to-back 100-yard games, and their defense is still pretty healthy for the most part. So yeah, give me the 49ers in this one. They're going to bounce back well against the Los Angeles Rams. The Detroit Lions, as 2.5-point favorites, are traveling to the Arizona Cardinals this week. And the Lions, coming off of a tough loss against the Buccaneers, of which the offense couldn't get a lot going as a whole. Amon-Ra St. Brown still had himself a pretty solid day, but got through 2 interceptions. And again, the offense couldn't match up to the defense's production. The Lions defense had 4.5 sacks from Aiden Hutchinson alone against the Buccaneers, and the defense did its job entirely. Meanwhile, the Arizona Cardinals, coming off of a dominant victory over the Los Angeles Rams, Marvin Harrison Jr. had his breakout game in his rookie season already. That was against the Rams, a great day for him. Kyler Murray's jersey and the game ball from that game are in the Hall of Fame with how well he played in that game. Yeah, Arizona's looking like a really, really good team. The main question is, can this defense stand up to the Lions' offense? We'll see. But I do have the Arizona Cardinals in this one. If this does come down to a shootout, I do trust the Cardinals a bit more. Plus, I trust the fact that the Cardinals will probably take the points instead of being too aggressive in this one. That's what got the Lions last week. I feel like that's what's going to get them again this week. Sunday night football. The Chiefs are 3.5 point favorites as they travel to the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are 1-1, but they really should be 0-2. That was a lucky win they had against the Eagles on Monday Night Football last week, but they did take advantage when the Eagles messed up late in that game. You have to take any luck you can get in the NFL with it being a game of inches. The Chiefs are coming off of a narrow escape of the Cincinnati Bengals, of which that was a fairly called DPI, but the offense is still not at to a point that I expected it to be at just yet. It is still early in the season, but the offense again is off to a slow start. I am going with the Chiefs. I'm not going to doubt them until they give me true reasons to doubt them. And they are winning games in large part thanks to the defense at the moment. Their defense is playing really well. And to make up for Isaiah Pacheco getting injured, they have signed Kareem Hunt, a little reunion there. But yeah, give me the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. The first of two Monday night games this week sees the Jacksonville Jaguars travel to the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 5.5 point favorites, and the Bills are one of, if not the most dominant teams in the NFL so far this season. They have looked nearly unstoppable since the second half of week one. It has been impressive to see them play. James Cook having himself a great year so far. Josh Allen trying to win his first MVP. And that defense is still locking down. Meanwhile, the Jacksonville Jaguars off to a really slow start. The loss to Miami was a tough one that they blew a 10-point lead on, and their offense couldn't get anything going at home against the Cleveland Browns last week while their defense was doing all they could. Give me the Buffalo Bills to win this one. They are by far one of the best teams in the NFL, and they're just going to show it again on another primetime game. The Washington Commanders are traveling to the Cincinnati Bengals for the final Monday Night Football game of the doubleheader, plus the final game of NFL Week 3. Cincinnati is 7.5 point favorites in this one, and they finally looked like a really good team and a really competent team against the Chiefs last week. Just was a very tough loss right there at the end, thanks to a DPI that, again, was a correct call. Meanwhile, Washington is coming off of a win against the New York Giants, of which they kicked 7 field goals and still won. This is going to be a really good game this week. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on the Bengals a bit. Meanwhile, Washington's offense is slowly starting to find its groove. I feel like it's finally going to come together in this week. This should be a good game. In Cincinnati, give me the Cincinnati Bengals to win this one. I feel like they found their groove and have shaken off the rust from the... Well, there you have it. My predictions for week 3 of the NFL season. If you enjoyed, it'll be appreciated if you subscribe and leave a like while you're at it. Plus, comment down below your thoughts on any of the games, maybe a specific game like your team's game you have a prediction for. Leave anything down below. Really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.